Hello friends, in this video we're going to discuss what is data type in C. So here we're going to discuss what is the different data types and what is qualifier, that is again the qualifier is divided into size qualifier, sign qualifier. So here in this video we're going to discuss all basic details of data type, that is what is the range of data type, how data type is represented, that is what is the format specifier in data type in C. So let's start. So data type in C language, it declare variable types of function or variable in program. Now we know that while we are writing any program, that is the C program, we require some functions, we require some variables, or we have to declare some variables, and that variable types can be defined. It can be integer, character, float, double, etc. So data type is nothing but it's a basic type of variable which is present in the program. Now we know that we can determine the space because we store or we declare the variable, we have to store somewhere into the memory. That is, it occupies the storage space. Like for example, it can be related to a real life example. Like suppose we have some cupboard or some cupboard having some part. Like that, in computer memory also we reserve some space according to our type of requirement and according to type of data, and that is nothing but the data type. Now along with the way which we store bit pattern which will going to the interpret, that is according to the our requirement and according to our specification, we can store the bit patterns or we can occupy the memory. Now the second thing is how much memory should it allocated. Now it depends on different data types. So here, for example, suppose data type, that is type of data I can specify according to my requirement and the memory is going to occupy. Now, which kind of data we can store in our program or which kind of data we used in our program. So for example, it might be 5, 8, 600. Now these are the numbers, or you can you can refer it as an integer or int. So it becomes an integer data type, or might be a decimal point, that is for example 43.59 or 127.368 or 271.49. So it may be in the decimal point, that is nothing but the floating point, or it might be in text, that is the simple modern text. This might be a collection of character. So the compiler used in C program handling the different types of data, it might be an integer or some numerical value, some floating value or some character. So it defines what type of data, that is nothing but the type of data we want into our program. Now depending on the type, the computer memory reserves some space according to type of requirement and specification, and that is nothing but the data type. So it might be integer, character, float, short, double, etc. So now in this diagram you can see data type mainly divided into three parts. The first is the primary data type, second is the derived data type, and user defined data type. Now under primary data type, it may be coming under void, integer, character, double, and float. Now basically we are using this primary data type mostly in our program. Now under derived data type, now array, reference, and pointer. Now this data type can be made by using this primary data type only, that is integer, void, character, and double. Now The user-defined data type, that is structure and union. These two data type can also be formed by using the primary data type. Now this array and pointer, structure, union, enumeration, etc. This derived and user-defined having the separate chapters. Now in upcoming video we're going to discuss in details what is array, what is pointer, what is structure and what is union. But here we'll only going to study the what is the primary data type, that is void, int, character, double and float. And mostly in programming language or while we are performing the program, we are using the primary data types only. So let's understand one by one what is int, character, double and float. Now data type in C refer to extensive system used to declaring variable and function of different data types. And the type of variable determine how much space is occupied, because we know that integer, character, float, this can be stored or declared as a variable and the variable can occupy a storage. But the question is how the bit pattern stored interpreted, because according to our requirement or according to our specification we can use int, character, float, etc. And that is nothing but that is referred as a qualifier. So according to the specification or according to user requirement, we can divide the data type into two qualifiers. That is, the qualifier can be divided into two parts, that is size and sign. Now size of data type and sign of data type. Now again the size can be divided into, it may be short, it may be long or long or double. So size can be the number can be in short, you can store according to the program requirement, short, long and double. Now we know that it is an declaring variable. Now while we are declaring the 5, 8, now 5 and 8, these are the one single number. So it may be coming under the short, and 60099, this is the huge number. It might be a long number, it's stored into the long space. So 5 and 8 I'm going to store into the size qualifier as a short, because if 5 is a very short number, so instead of using a long specifier or long qualifier, I can use a short rather than wasting a space. So if your number is less, you can use a short specifier according to the program requirement. Now, second thing is the type of variable determines how much space is occupied into the space storage, or how much bit pattern can be stored as an interval. That is, again, it is depend on your computer system, whether it is in 16 bit, 32 bit or 64 bit. So according to that or specification, you can store your variable space into the memory. Now the qualifier divided into size, it might be short, long and long and long. That is the double. Now it again the sign. Now sign is again divided into sign and unsigned. Now sign numbers are, it may be a positive or it may be negative. And unsigned, that is, it's not allowed any negative number, it's an positive, all positive number. So according to your programmer requirement, you can specify this type of size while we are declaring variable. Now let's understand what are the primary data type. So mostly while we are writing program, we write or we can use the primary data types only, or it is also known as a primitive data types or primary data type. Now first is the integer, and it define or it declare like int, int, and we storing this whole number, that is for example 5, 6, 667. These are all the numerical number, and we can specify or format specifier, we are using %d. Now the second primary data type is nothing but the character. Now we know that it refer ASCII character and single alphabet from A to Z, or for example X, Y, etc. Now double, this is include like a qualifier, large type of numerical value you can include while using double primitive data type. Next is the floating point. Now these are all real numbers or decimal point or fractional point. Like for example 40.1, 5.9. So it gives the fractional value coming under floating point, and it can be format specified as a, or it represent in the program like %f. And next is the void. Void, that is, it refer to the no values at all, or it doesn't having any space or any memory value, that is, it's a no value. So these are 5 primitive data types, that is integer, character, double, float, and void. So integer is nothing but the normal number, that is whole number, which can be positive or negative. Sign, as a, you can refer sign int integer, that is it can be positive or negative. Unsigned, that is it's only having the positive value, that is the sign bit. Or no sign bit, that is the negative value is not allowed, only positive value is here. Now floating value, which support the fractional value. Fractional value, it might be positive or it may be negative. So these are some basic primary data types which are used in our program. Now let's understand what is the size in byte. Now character can hold 1 byte, short int 2 byte, again integer can hold 2 bytes memory, long integer can hold 4 bytes, float is holding 4 bytes into the memory, double can hold 8 byte, and long double 10. Now void doesn't having any value, so it doesn't having any storage, because void having the no value, so no memory space is allocated. Enum can be allocated 2 bytes. Now mostly integer 2 byte and float 4 byte. So character and character 1 byte. So these are basics size in bytes. Now it varies from system to system. From 16-bit, if your system is 16-bit, might be the size can be vary for 32-bit also, 64-bit also. Now let's understand what are the range of data types. Like character having the size byte 1, and it can be ranged in between -2.28 to 172, and format specifies is a %c. Again the integer can hold 2 byte, range is the 32,768 to 32,767. Again this is the integer, all numerical digital value or digits, so we can represent or format string. Specifier is nothing but the %d, and float is nothing but the 4. Now this is the range of float value, it can be represent %f. Now mainly while we are performing program, we use the character %c, integer %d, and float %f. So this is all about the data types, and mostly void, that is no value or it is null value. So this is all about the basic data types in C programming. Thank you.